Hi, everybody. It's Linda Morrison here from Ageless Body, Ageless Business. And this is the Art of Listening interview series. And we're opening up series two, which I'm really, really super excited about. When I came up with this idea, when I couldn't sleep one night, hot night in Melbourne in November last year, I decided I wanted to reach out to some really, really great teachers and practitioners and coaches around the world and ask them what work they were doing and why they do it and why they think that the art of communication, the art of listening, conscious listening, whatever we want to perhaps label it today, is really, really integral to the way in which they get their message across for caring for people in a sustainable and really connected way. So I'm really, really super, super excited today to speak to Liz Clifton from across the waters in the UK. Liz, welcome to the Art of Listening.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here and connect with you. As you say, over the pond. And
Yes, yes,
today it
yes.
was, yeah.
Yes, and I've got my daughter back from London after 3 years, back to Melbourne. But I was
Mhm.
there in June. I was there in June last year, and I absolutely loved swanning about, literally, as a tourist, and seeing the sights and the bells and whistles of it all, and the different vibe. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. So hopefully one day we get to meet in person, which would be
Yes.
great. So tell us, Liz, about what you do and who you help.
Oh, thank you. So I'm a calm leadership coach and also a spiritual mentor as well. And I do like some first aid mental health support with people. And also I'm a Reiki and animal Reiki teacher trainer. So really there to support you and all different members of your family, whatever species, to get calm and just enjoy your lives, getting back to listening to yourself and actually enjoying what you're doing.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much. And I think with this pace of life that we have at the moment, it's never more needed. And I do note and say that in our chiropractic offices, when we had them for 20 years, dogs and cats came too. So I'm not sure that all patients were delighted about that swanning in, but yeah, puppies were cared for a lot as well. I also noted during COVID, and perhaps you can speak into this a little bit as we go along, that I felt like every single person, and we were the most locked down city for the most duration in the world here in Melbourne. I felt like I was the only person who did not get themselves a new dog or a dog during that time. So I do understand, how important they are. So first of all, I'd like you to say to tell us how did you arrive at the work that you do now? First of all, with humans, and then maybe how it have progressed out or maybe it went the other way around. So I'm not trying to literally tell you how it happened, but I'd love to know.
Yeah, of course. So I've always loved listening to people. I've loved speaking. I was mentoring when I was working in the public sector and also mentored in some private businesses. But when I actually began to found my own business, it was after we rescued our first Romanian street dog. So it did kind of begin with her, really. And at that point, I just stepped out of a 15-year really dysfunctional relationship. And I was really low on self confidence. I'd kind of hidden myself and my voice over those years and really just lived like for my daughters and through my daughters, not ever listening to me over that time, like progressively more and more. And when I rescued her, and she was so petrified of people to the point that in the rescue, she was only coming out in the middle of the night to quickly eat, quickly have a drink, and do her business, and then go back inside. So she had no contact with people. And when I found her, they were considering putting her down for like a really low quality of life. So through rehabilitating her, building up her self confidence, I was building up my own. And in a moment of like silent animal Reiki connection with her, I just felt, yeah, we get to help other people. So from there, everything kind of built out. And that's where the calm coaching, leadership, mental health awareness, the mentoring, and obviously the Reiki and animal Reiki support all came in through her, really. She was like my little guiding light to set me onto the path I'm on now.
That's actually awesome, and thank you for that story. I would actually, having worked with women in health for 35 years, I would actually say that quite often they are a lot more focused and motivated to look after others before listening to themselves. Can you speak into that a little bit, please, if you like?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And I think I also was brought up in a very Christian household. So that's very much do unto others as you'd like to be done to yourself, but you don't do it to yourself. You listen to others, you serve others, you protect others, and you're just sacrificing. What I realized, actually, in a moment of choice that led to me leaving that 15-year relationship was that I have a choice. And from that point, I began to listen to myself because I realized I was worthy of the choice. But until that point, absolutely people pleasing to the maximum,
Yeah,
purely doing everything for other people. Oh, you'd like me to do another shift? Yes, of course. I was working at that point like three different jobs around my kids' schooling. So
yeah.
I had an early morning one, like a part-time one, an evening one. And like I look back and I'm like, wow, how did I manage? But it's because I had to, I had to be there for them.
Yes.
And I felt that I had to be doing those jobs to stay in the house, to stay in that space.
Yeah.
And then when I kind of began to look at it differently, I realized, oh, it's a choice. I can choose to move out of that relationship. I can choose to start to listen to myself. But it definitely, I think, in society, often at the moment, women hamper down and we just crack on in that. And we're amazing. We're resilient. We can cope with a lot,
Mm.
until you hit like a burnout point or like a health issue, anything like that. But if we take a second, just 1 second in any day to just say, how am I feeling?
Yeah.
We can begin to connect back to ourselves and actually begin to give us some self-worth because we all matter. Everybody.
100%. And I must say, well, this has actually come up in this series, and thank you, Liz, for saying all of that. And I think the whole thing about the art of listening is that I've never met a woman I haven't worked with or come across that hasn't hit a burnout point at some point. For me, it came up in the form of severe anaphylaxis. I was allergic to everything, literally, all foods and all everything. I got extremely thin and and the energy was only going one way, that was away from me. And but that was also the conditioning as well. There was no real language, even though I thought, well, my one of my favorite jobs is being a mother, but actually I didn't know how to turn that faucet off at all. It was all out. None of it was coming back in. And I grew up in a lovely family, but actually that was the messaging as well. I could have time off to go to work, but if it was time off to have a manicure, that was not understood in my family by the women in my family. That was like, what? That's so indulgent. I'm down the street, making sure I don't look manky and horrible. But that was just a whole. So I had to learn that over time, but I don't think it was until my early 40s that I actually developed that voice, despite having a degree, despite doing a number of courses, despite having beautiful clients that had very, very important roles, and we all have important roles, but really important roles in their work lives and lives that I looked after for years and years. So until I hit that rock bottom, I didn't really know the extent of it all. Then I developed some new language, but it still took a lot of time. And when you're building from a place of sheer burnout, um, it is not always the best, but um, most women have reached that at some point. Well, all the women that I've even worked with. So I'll just say my knowledge to my knowledge, and maybe that's why they come to me as well. So I know how, like, what we're working with, and that's what they've hit rock bottom. So they need to start looking after themselves, literally. Um, can you speak into that just a little bit? And do you also work in partnership? So perhaps a person and their dog, and they come to you because of their dog, but actually it's really them. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So for myself, I've been through like three different burnouts. One of them was with my third pregnancy, and that ended up with me not even being able to walk. So it was a complete like physical, like we're not moving forwards anymore. Body's,
Yeah, we're
just
here.
done.
Here we are.
Um, but an amazing like mindset thing I did in that point without even realizing what I was doing. I said, when I've given birth to her, I'm walking out. And I did. I walked out. There was, yes, a lot of repair that I had to do after that to strengthen everything, but I did it. And I think it's that intent. Again, it's that resilience, that we all have like in spades, but like it's all possible. So, whatever point you're at, there is always a step forward that you can take, and literally, if, even if you're not able to walk, it can be a step forward in so many different areas and perspectives of your life. With clients, yes, 100%. The same as we often look after our kids more than historically we've maybe looked after ourselves. Absolutely the same with dogs and, and other species as well, cats and horses, goats, lizards, tortoise, whatever it is. We can often, and I would say historically, because we're going to shift that, we're going to look after ourselves first. But historically, we may well have put most of our time and energy into them. So, yes, I do have clients that come, for some support with their dog, maybe some calm training, maybe some Reiki relaxation, maybe just supporting the dog to like release their stacked up stress, any of their pre existing traumas, anything like that.
Yeah.
And then in supporting that guardian with the dog, I do end up then supporting the guardian as well. And I think for me, it's all in that one package. Because when we realize that we get to love ourselves first, we get to listen to ourselves first, we get to take care of ourselves first, then that love and that care and like our best service for ourselves also ripples out to everyone else
100%. Yeah, there is a
so quick.
completely different vibe around a person or a woman who looks after themselves. There is a completely different vibe. I must say that is something that I've actually recognized over time. And then you're not always done, which is comes it brings us back to the art of listening and listening to ourselves. Is that once we reach a new level, there's a new level. And I've got a very, very good a friend in my life who is a sixth Dan black belt of five different martial arts, and there's always a new level. And that fascinated me when I heard about that. And the whole point is that it's a practice, such as the art of listening is a practice. You get better, your communication gets better, and sometimes it wanes or it stops or all the things. Um, I was told by a wise woman who was just a friend. We weren't in a mentorship, but friends can often be mentors, of course. There's all different roles with it all. Um, no is a full sentence. So, listening to the language of many people, not always women, but many people, it is no because. I
Mm.
can't do that, no, because, and then in come all the reasons and excuses and things as to why the answer is no. Um, I'm finding this with parenting as well. My kids are really old. They're nearly 23, nearly 25. But we would say no. Now, it doesn't mean that they listened at two or three, but we did say no. Now there's this awful thing about saying no to children, to keep them safe, mostly to keep them safe. No, no more chocolate biscuits. It's bedtime. No, please don't run on the road. No, don't, swing into your baby sister. All the things.
Mm.
So can you is there, yeah, so you're agreeing with that. So can you tell me a little bit about that and what's happening with all of that at the moment? Because if someone's not in charge, no one's in charge, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the whole thing over do we say no to kids or do we not? I think it's always been there. I think I was like a kid in the 80s, and I remember my mum was doing like some sleepless night support for parents. And within that, I
That's fantastic.
remember, yeah, and I remember
Really
that
hard to have boundaries
conversation.
when you're tired, really tired.
Yeah, yeah. And I can remember, even back then, it being considered, is it positive and supportive to say no or not? I'd say it's 50-50, and it 100% comes down to the individual parent or guardian, what they're going to choose. I would try and go with stop if it was an emergency, because it's going to encourage whoever, whatever species, they're more likely to stop. No can end up meaning so many things, like
Yes,
especially with dogs, that it's kind of pointless saying it
got
because
it.
it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Got it.
Um, and if it's like a behavior like with kids and even with ourselves, I'd rather go gentle. And then if it's a teaching point, like go gentle, because too much sugar before bed is going to be bad for your teeth. You're not going to get as good sleep. You're not going to have as much energy in the morning to go and do whatever you want to do,
I
like
used
in
to
the
say that
morning.
too. Jump high, run fast, play with your friends, do your sport. Yeah, all the things you like doing. Yeah. Yeah. The reasoning, yeah, behind it all. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, definitely stop is yeah, yeah. And less dialogue is often more, I suppose, like puppies. I've not had puppies in my life or dogs, just children. But I must say you're absolutely right. So yeah, no is a full sentence, or stop is a full sentence, or um yeah, no more boundaries. Done,
Yeah.
end of. And yeah, doing that with yourself as well, like listening in, because of course I've got to work with a lot of people whom once they do there's not a person on the planet, let's say, that doesn't know that they need to do the work to get the results. And it doesn't always feel good to do the work, to do the training, to stop eating the chocolate biscuits. That's if we're talking about the health side of things, or if we're talking about the business side of things, push through technology that isn't working for us today. Um, all of those things. So the discipline today gives you the results tomorrow. Um, and change doesn't feel good. Um, so when you're a change maker, such as you are, how do you help people with that? Because obviously it happens more from a calm mind than a frustrated mind that won't open to the listening, or won't open to the new way. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that with your words? Thanks.
Yeah, of course. So I think for any change, it's knowing what's the purpose of the change in the first place. So, what's causing you to want to shift whatever it is in whatever area of your life you want to make the
What do I
change, you want to
really
make
want?
the
Yeah,
shift?
what do I
Yeah,
really want? Yeah.
exactly. And then, and I love that the sentence, like, for what purpose? Because it's for what purpose, more business. For what purpose, get another puppy? And you just keep repeating like that question to
Right.
yourself or with
Right.
support. And then you're just breaking down the levels till you get to actually that root cause. What's the real purpose for that? And once you've got that, that's strong because that's you. That's really deep inside you. And that's going to be related to like a value, a passion, a purpose, maybe a vision, a mission, whatever that means to you, like is perfect. But then you get to tap back into that. And from there, I do probably some visualization, get you to imagine how it's going to be, say 15 minutes after you've achieved whatever it is, and really get into that sense. Notice all your senses, what you can see, hear, smell, taste, feel, touch. And then you've got that image to go back to.
Your own new vision of you. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is always there to a certain extent, but with the busyness and the loud life that we all in at the moment, it is hard to keep on doing that. So whiteboards are good, would you say, or vision boards or thing. I even find a deep dive into Pinterest if you happen to be online, where you can just bring all these beautiful images into your world, um, and keep working your creativity around yourself. Um, yeah, I find that extremely helpful to support the work. And then also just everybody get a really, really, really great coach, mentor, practitioner right beside you because they're only going to know how to help support that over time. And that's how any change happens. No one's reached the top by themselves. Like
Yeah.
it's just the truth.
I think, sorry, there's that like quite famous, like everyone seems to be using that. It takes a village. And it does. Like we used to live in these beautiful settlements and communities, and it all worked together. Everyone was easily, obviously connected to each other and all weaving together for that one like purpose,
Yeah,
that togetherness where everyone gets to thrive. And I think, especially since lockdown, we've been kind of compartmentalized. So it's reaching out and it's making the connections that feel good for you.
yeah,
And when you're drawing on those visions, like go with what works for you. So it could be visual, it could be descriptions. You might just voice note yourself describing this
yeah,
beautiful, like,
yeah,
life that you're going to have, or sounds and music, even like scents and taste and textures sometimes. So, again, drawing like all those different senses, and that's going to create that beautiful, powerful vision that just anchors you in. And
yeah,
then when you're like, oh, do I really have to do it? No, I get to do it. I get to
yeah.
do it because I want to achieve whatever it is, but also be gentle and give yourself the grace and the patience and the rest and self care when you need it, which comes back to that just checking in with yourself. How are you feeling?
That's right. And anything new and, flexing into something new is never going to feel totally right for you until you, yeah, get some more runs on the board, let's say, or some more proof. I absolutely love that because gone are the days, and I know in the early self-development days, it was like just wrote, move through some affirmations. I am the most beautiful woman in the world. I am the most fit woman in the world. I am the most smart woman in the world. And to my mind, which is can be very pragmatic and practical, it was like, well, not really, and not today. And you really haven't, gone through a shower yet. And, you're not the smartest at everything. Your maths teacher told you yesterday you weren't, and all the things. So, um, yeah, sort of there's many ways. And yeah, all the people that we get to speak to have got the tricks and tips. And the other thing is whatever you think, and, whatever you think doesn't have to be the truth either. And this is something was taught to me years ago, just because it comes into your mind. And having just been in, London, buses keep on coming and going. Let some go. They're not going where you want to go. They are not going where you want to go. And to make light of a very serious topic, which is your life, and that is serious, is that that's true for thoughts as well. And let some go. Yeah, they're not well formed.
Yeah, and just listen to yourself. So if a thought comes in, just notice how it makes you feel.
Mm,
And if it's not supportive, maybe there's a lesson in there, but maybe there's just a simple shift. And you get to just take that thought. And maybe, yeah, like years and years ago, I remember people saying, "Oh, you're silly. This won't work. You're too silly." And I said that to myself for
yeah,
so many years.
yeah,
And I was like, for what purpose am I describing myself, historically as silly?
yeah,
And I was like, because it's what I've heard. And
yeah,
then you can challenge that thought and
mm,
you can say, well, do I think I am silly? Do I feel so? I'm like, no, I don't. And then you can begin to shift it because
yeah,
sometimes just by acknowledging it, that can be enough to
yeah.
actually let it go.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, well said. Yeah, well said. I know on occasion, thanks for saying that. And these are really, really good things to actually say because women and girls are told lots of things. And I know I grew up in the 70s, 80s as a child, and right from very, very little, my mother would say that people would say about me, she's extremely bossy and forthright, they would say. They wouldn't say that to a boy, but they said it to a girl. So my mum would say, "Oh, Linda's quite determined. She knows her own mind." My mum, even though without the coaching, without the schooling after 15, she knew to shift that paradigm a little bit. And also, I don't really know a 3-year-old that doesn't know their own mind. I don't know. Like generally, but apparently it's bad. Bad on girls and okay on other people or boys or whatever, all the things. So I found that yeah, quite interesting. And then, of course, raising a girl, then a boy. What we want is resilience, and we doesn't care, doesn't matter who you are, but we want some resilience. And yeah, there's a good lesson in knowing your own mind. 3-year-olds, keep it simple.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And it's one of those things I get people to do if you're looking for like joy. You're trying to put some joy back in their life. And it's like, well, think back to when you were a kid.
yeah,
You were just free to be you.
yeah,
Like, what did you love doing? Because do you know what? You're still that kid. It's actually still you.
yeah.
Yes,
Beautifully
we've got a
said.
bit older, but we're the same people.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautifully said. Yeah, beautifully said. All right, I'm going to leave it there because we could go on forever. Maybe maybe there is going to be a series 3 of The Art of Listening. There's definitely going to be a compilation book. I've got some beautiful people that want to come into that, which I'm really, really happy for because I've left most of these interviews fairly open-ended, but when you get to write a chapter or write part of a book, it becomes something that is incredibly, incredibly yours. But a lot of my passion, and you've really helped with that today, Liz, is to help people find new or different or a language and perspective on how they feel so that then they can help to articulate that and then ask for a better life, a better space, a better place, all those things. And that I'm very, very passionate about, and also ever learning. And if there's a hook for anyone, please, please get in touch with Liz. Liz, how's the best way for people to get in touch with you as well? And we'll pop the links below also. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So if it's business, then LinkedIn, if that's where you are. But also my website is really simple, simple contact form. Just come straight to me. And that is lizclifton.co.uk. So simple. But pop
Beautiful.
me into your favorite browser and I will pop up. I am all over the place.
Thank you so much then for coming to Melbourne with us today. And it's been a pleasure for me. And I already it's very early here in the morning, but my little brain's going up with more questions for you. But we'll leave it there. And thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the Art of Listening. Please share it more. This is really just a meeting of minds that I've put in place. There is no pressure to do anything with this whole playlist. It's really about coming, and I've had podcasts before, but this is really about keeping it simple. I feel that, video is a medium that has been overtaken by apparently podcasts are something, but in the world, most of them would never get past 10 podcasts. But here we are, listening to you and helping you get to where you're wanting to go, not just this year, but into the future. And there is always hope and joy. My middle name, my mother's name, and my daughter's middle name, as it turns out. So there is always joy and a way forward for you. So reach out to Liz, myself, and the beautiful people here within. Thanks, Liz.
Thank you.